Hunting robust the journey onward by Master Atlan, Chapter 67. Sir, what did you just ask us? I asked if you would be willing to plan the Vital Festival dance. I had asked Team Coffee to do it, and Miss Axel was more than happy to provide her services, but they have been quite preoccupied with their assignment regarding another settlement. I don't think they'll be able to come back in time to prepare it for us. I remember you offering your services once if they were ever needed, and I thought I might take you up on that offer. Osmond looked at the girls as they silently stared back at him. Is that all right? Yang and Weiss looked at each other before nodding in unison. It would be our pleasure. Ruby palmed her face and grumbled. Hunting, you asking anyone to that little dance of yours, huh? Naruto let out a guttural sound as he struggled to focus on the task at hand. The task literally being about his hand lifting up a large boulder several yards away. He struggled to both extend the aura around his arm across the clearing and make it expand enough to encompass the whole rock. So idle chit chat while he did it was very distracting. I'm trying to finish your training at the moment. Can you please not talk to me? Those dances are silly, but there's still a rite of passage for kids your age. Jiraiya continued as Naruto strained with his training. You ask out a person you like, you go together, you fail to actually dance and fumble around with your words and hormones. In the end, you either get to walk away with a hug, a kiss on the cheek, or if you're extra charming, a night spent together being gross. God damn it! The aura arm went limp and dropped the boulder altogether as Naruto turned and glared at the toad. Does everything you say have to lead into sex? Can the mind vomit? Hey, not my fault. Pretty much everything in life leads to sex one way or another. Jiraiya chuckled as he watched Naruto gag and shudder. The man shook his head and laughed. Oh, come on, it's not so bad. Do you have anyone special to go with you? I don't want to go, but Tenten really wants me to come, and I don't have it in my heart to say no to her. So I'm going, doing one dance with her, and then praying the rest of the night trudges along as quickly as possible. He knew for certain Ruby and Sasuke shared the sentiment, so at least he won't be avoiding the dance floor alone. He noticed, however, that the old toad had clicked his tongue and just shook his head in shame. This is why youth is wasted on people like you. The prospect of holding a beautiful young lady close to you, dancing and moving to a rhythmic beat, and all you're concerned about is embarrassment. The blonde's cheeks flushed at Jiraiya's ridicule while his ears perked on his head. Why don't you ask one of the girls from the other team? The short one seems like she likes to have fun, except at the dance. Ruby pretty much told me that if she had to go to that thing, it'll be to stand in the corner away from any dancing whatsoever. Or with the blonde, she looks like the kind of girl that would be knocking the boys back with the bat. But Yang is going to be focusing on the dance and really doesn't have to be worrying about a date. Okay, then what about any of the other girls? The bouncy little ginger chick or the minstrel champ? There are a ton you talk with. Jiraiya paused before snapping his fingers. Oh, I get it. Look, you shouldn't feel nervous about asking that Uchiha boy. No, and shut up. And Naruto cut him off before he could finish. The whiskered blonde frowned. What about this? Are you not getting? It's not that I can't get a dance to the dance. Although it is a fact, I just don't care about it. Really. What about if you asked that goth girl to go with you? Blake, Nato's expression shifted. I haven't really gotten the chance to talk with her since she came back from the visit out of Beacon. He was able to hear from the rest of Team RWBY what happened in their search for the old man. Blake knew, but when he heard about it, he could understand why she had been reluctant to talk about it. I knew letting you hang out with them was a bad idea, but just one day was all it took for her to get sick of you. Oh, my poor broken heart, cut apart by your harsh and terrible words. Jiraiya feigned injury before quickly laughing it off. Maybe the little kitty just needs to show her moves off on the dance floor to set her mind straight again. Naruto rolled his eyes at the suggestion and went back to focusing on his training. The toad was left wondering why he had to pick up the bloodline that was so stubborn to get through to. Look at him. It's easy. You take a sip of liquid courage, build up your guts, go over, ask her to dance, and then down the rest of it when she inevitably says no. Where am I going to get off? What do you mean, inevitably? Hunting? So, I was just wondering if you wanted to go to the dance together. I don't know if anyone else has asked you yet, and you might just want to go with your team. Are you kidding? I'll absolutely go with you. The cat girl cheered and jumped up to hug her soon-to-be date. Her orange tail wagged happily behind her before she separated from Kiba. I thought I was going to just go with my team, which is super lame. Now I get to actually wear that cute dress I picked out. Make sure you're not late to pick me up, okay? See ya. Wait, what time do I come in? Oh, she's gone. Kiba couldn't hide the joyful grin on his face as he turned back around and did his best to hide his subtle skip. He joined back with his friends and just laughed. She said, yes, I got my date to the dance. Apparently she was looking forward to it because just going with her team would have sucked. Then Sokka continued to bask in his glory before he noticed the looks he was getting. What's with those faces? How did you get a date first? Neptune cried. That was very impressive, Kiba. Lee looked at his new friend with great admiration and passion. It was so brave and amazing of you to just walk up and ask her like that. I don't think any of us could do something like that. Dude, you don't have to bring it up. Kiba just gave a hearty laugh at Sun, Neptune, and Lee devolved with the arguments. Naruto didn't join in on the conversation, but had an expression that mixed pride and annoyance at seeing his partner and friend get a date to the prom while he had to go stack. John's eyes sparkled with envy, just how confident Kiba was in asking that girl out, and confused by the fact anytime he showed that kind of confidence, it usually came back to bite him. Sasuke and Gaara just stared at the chaos blankly, wondering why they were dragged over to take part in the madness. Okay, huddle up, guys. Neptune called out to the group as they formed a tight circle. We can't just let Kiba be the only lucky guy going to this little thing with a girl. It's boring, and I don't even know how much fun it will be, but at least if we go with dates, then it'll be marginally better for us. We'll ask a girl out, go there arm in arm, and Sun smirked and dance. On second thought, Neptune quickly disentangled himself and fixed his jacket before nonchalantly waving it off. Who cares about going to a dance with a date? There's drinks there, and food, and music, and hey, it'll be cool because we can just hang out in the corner, talk about world matters, and stimulate our intellects like true gentlemen at parties. I don't know about any of that stuff, but I feel like this is my chance to do something amazing. John squeaked as he shook with excitement. I can finally go to a school dance with my head held up in pride. I won't have a sign on my back that says kick me. I won't be coming dressed as a superhero because someone told me that it was a costume party, and I won't have to bring one of my sisters and dance with them because I couldn't get anyone else. He wiped a tear from his eyes. This is really important to me. Suddenly patted his shoulder sympathetically. We got you, dude. So you're thinking about asking anyone in particular? Oh, well, I had one person, but I'm pretty sure they're already spoken for. So I'm pretty close to just running up to every girl I meet and hoping for the best. Lee held his friend's shoulder tightly as tears brimmed his eyes. I know the feeling, but don't lose hope yet. There are still those out there on the campus that we can reach out to and ask why the members of Team Indigo are all fine and energetic young ladies. Perhaps we can inquire if they would like to meet with us at the dance. Naruto and Kiba silently turned and looked at their Uchiha teammate. The scene of the all-female team they would see him at the dance came to their mind. The not so subtle hints that they would be waiting to dance with him and were looking forward to it as well. As well were also something of note. But considering how much Sasuke didn't like to dance, they knew those girls would just be waiting in vain when the dance came around. Excuse me, they turned to Gaara as the red-haired raccoon faunus asked him, why exactly am I here? You're a popular guy at Shade, right? Can you possibly put in a good word? And Gaara raised his hand to stop him. I think you overestimate my reputation. I don't think I have any place to be introducing you to any girls from my school in an effort to hook up, and even if I did, I really don't think I'd want to. Dude, that's a betrayal of trust. Where's the grounded gang? If fighting off White Fang and Grima wasn't enough to forge an unbreakable bond, then what about the fact that we can't leave Beacon without seriously pissing off the teachers? That should mean something. The grounded gang? And I thought Dirty Dozen was lame enough as it is. Neptune flushed. Oh, okay, so I'm not great with making up names. Sue me. There, dude. Nobody's perfect. Sun consoled his partner about his troubles, but the monkey faun's attention was quickly preoccupied by something else that immediately grabbed his interest. He stood up on his toes and his tails still behind him. He smiled and quickly turned to Naruto. Okay, dude, time to clear things up. Whoever goes, no hard feelings, okay? Naruto blinked. What are you talking about? I'm saying that no matter what happens, we're still bros, no matter what. The blonde monkey kept his charming grin showing as he looked over to the side. They followed their friend's gaze and spotted the person he was so focused on. And I really hope you can agree on that because I'm about to take the leap, buddy. It was Blake, most likely making her way to the library. The bow-wearing girl was splitting her attention rather unevenly between walking and reading the papers in her hand. The usually nimble and aware young huntress looked drained and rather ragged as she stepped and swayed slightly on her path. She was usually so careful when she walked that she could read through a book while avoiding anything in her path. But what she was reading must have been very interesting, or she was just too exhausted to even walk. Son was already making his way over with his intention clear on his face. Son, wait! Naruto called to his haven friend before he could walk away. Maybe you shouldn't ask her. Naruto rubbed his cheek. I mean, you've noticed how distracted she's been lately, right? Yeah, I totally noticed. Son nodded. It's because of what happened when she left Beacon that day, right? I heard she got some really rough news about a friend of hers, and she's been worried about it since then. I felt really bad about it. He showed his friend a hopeful grin. But hey, maybe she could use a pickup. Maybe going to a dance with rugged, dashing, young, aspiring huntsman like myself. It's just the thing she needs. Not a chuckled. I don't know where you got all that enthusiasm, but I guess I got to wish you luck. Thanks, man. Son didn't waste another moment to run from the rest of his friends and make his way over to the black-clad girl. His friend watched from the side as Son called Blake and got her to stop long enough to talk with her. The monkey faunus was very animated with his talk, trying to get an excited reaction out of the girl he had his eyes on. Blake just answered quickly and stepped away. Son made his way back, smiling to hide his obvious embarrassment and hurt when he reached his friends. Yeah, she ain't interested in going. Apparently she has got another thing to focus on, and she doesn't want to waste any time at a dance, which I totally get because they're really boring sometimes. So, since babbling was halted by the hands on his shoulders as his friend smiled at him. It's okay, man, we understand. We'll hang out together and have fun at the dance instead, but unlike that traitor Kiba, we'll be going stag too. Kiba shrugged. Not my fault, I didn't just talk about girls all the time. Son's smile quickly re-emerged as he grinned. Thanks, guys, you're awesome. I just can't wait to see you walking around in a suit. It's gonna be ridiculous. Suit? Son blinked and looked down at his current attire. I was just gonna wear this. Son, you can't go to a dance wearing that. Why not? Because besides being super inappropriate and a surefire way to get Yang and / Y's unparalleled fury aimed only at you, you're going to wear something because the rest of the people there don't need to feel totally inadequate and worry that you might be hogging all their dates' attention with your abs. You think my abs could do something like that? Son's voice seemed to break and he nearly cried before bringing them in for a hug. You guys are the best friends I could ever ask for. Sasuke and Gaara remained totally silent and watched the strange sight before them, idly wondering how they got dragged into this mess and had to be a part of it in the first place. Hunting. So you think Akamaru's happy to be back at the kennel with your family? Oh yeah, I bet he's loved his time here. But the other animals need him back. They can only go so long without their alpha. And Kiba said with a smile to tempt him. Plus, he's had loads of fun with us, getting to run around the campus with us, chasing me around like a hound in a hunt, being able to sleep in our room and hang with us, mostly just lying in my bed, forcing his scent on my stuff, and all the love he got from everyone will keep him happy for a while, and I might now be able to finally clean up all my clothes and bed him from his disgusting slobber. Kiba sighed and turned around to face his frowning partner. Dude, of all the flavors, why do you have to be bitter and salty? You know he adored you, like he adores his favorite chew toy. Every moment I lived with that mammoth was a living hell. Not to see the reason I saw him off was for peace of mind. Now I am free. Sasuke deadpanned him. You sound like a maniac. Oh, I'm sure you're happy he's gone. Tadin smiled cheekily as she waved her scroll. And I guess all these photos I have of you two nuzzling up together while napping are just cropped or something. Delete those. You delete those. I order you as your team leader to delete those. The older girl stuck out her tongue in response. The faunus leader slipped past Kiba and Sasuke to chase after her as she ran. She raced like a lunatic as the stick wielder just laughed back at him. They ran through the halls for a few seconds until a flash of black in his peripheral made him stop in place. He saw her drink from a styrofoam cup full of coffee, a desperate attempt to keep herself awake. If she was switching to coffee from tea, then this really was getting out of hand. Naruto headed down the hall and around the corner before she vanished. Blake, the bewailing girl paused, hearing his voice. Her hair looked to have lost some of its luster, with splits ends and cowlicks coming out of every angry angle. She turned to face him, and he got a good look at what her efforts had done to her over time. Her eyes were heavy, with deep bangs under them from the severe lack of proper sleep. Blake's form was shaky, looking like she was carrying something extra heavy on her shoulders, even though she was light as feather. She blinked her eyes as if to register he was actually in front of her. What is it? I am. Naruto shook the shock out of his system to face his friend. I guess you're still working on your project, huh? Of course I am. Her voice was terse and shorter than usual, losing its sarcastic and sometimes playful tone. Her exhaustion wasn't only physical. White Fang is still out there. We're no closer to finding them, so I need to keep looking. And how long are you going to do that? Until I find them, she said drearily. And when do you think that will be? Blake frowned. I don't know. I can't exactly predict that right now. I could get through it faster right this second, but I have to waste time talking with you. She followed her curt words with a tired reprise. Are we done? Are we going to get back to the library? Wait. Naruto grabbed Blake's wrist before she could step away, wanting to continue the conversation before she could storm off. He was shocked to see he nearly pulled the girl off of her feet with the light tug on her arm. Usually she was so sturdy on her feet that there was nothing that could knock her over. Blake's eyes sharpened and turned on him in response. Don't you think you're pushing yourself a bit too far? No. Blake yanked her wrist out of his hand. I think this is the least I should be doing. The White Fang are still a threat hanging over our heads. Roman Torture Week is still on the loose, providing them with weapons stolen from the strongest military forces in the world, and with enough dust to fuel a city for a month. And Dr. Shimura is in charge of it all, an individual we greatly underestimated when it comes to his desires and the methods he would be willing to go to in order to see them through. And I feel like I'm the only one who understands how terrible this whole situation is. You're not. I understand it too. We all do. But you don't have to do this all by yourself. Yes, I do. This is my fault. Her voice cracked before she quickly cleared her throat. Danzo killed a good man to get what he wants, and allowed him to kill Mr. Hiruzen, and now he's leading the White Fang all around like his personal toy army. I have to stop him. You're right. Naruto relented. He needs to be stopped. He can't be allowed to keep doing this, but you can't do anything against him right now. Not at this moment. So why don't you take the time to just calm down and rest? Stop it. Blake glared. We don't have time for that. They're planning an attack at any moment. And what would you want me to do? Just go to classes like nothing is happening, read a book and play around, and go to that dance? She shook her head. I feel like I'm going crazy. We all fought these people together. Well, my team was there with me when we heard Mr. Hiruzen getting executed by that monster, but they just went back to normal without a care in the world. You're all just going through the motions like you aren't expecting or even terrified by what these people can do. You know that's not true. Is it? I think I'm the only person taking this seriously who actually understands how much of a threat these people are. We all understand, Blake, but we can't do anything to fight them when they haven't made any noise, and we're stuck here. Leave it to the hunters and police right now. Do they even know what's going on right now? Are they doing anything? Of course they are. What? I don't know. Naruto took a deep breath to calm himself before looking at the tired, desperate girl in front of him. Blake, I know all of this feels like it's piling up. It's so much happening at the same time, and it feels heavy, and you feel like the only person in the entire world that can hold it all together. I know that. I feel the same way with Wilsk last semester, remember? And I know what it's like to lose someone you cared for to that bastard Danzo, but do you? Blake indignantly asked her temper flaring and her attention solely on the blonde, because it doesn't feel the same way at all. Your efforts are rewarded with the monster that plagued you being put away and disgraded, while mine's still at large with an army ready to attack at any moment. We all helped you with your fight while I'm desperate and floundering over here by myself, and I lost my mentor and the person I loved. Yours is at least still alive, although that might change soon enough if we keep standing around with our thumbs up our asses. Blake panted and tried to catch her breath before stumbling slightly on her feet, her vision going a little blurry after the rush of blood. When she had calmed down, she had realized what she had said in the heat of the moment. Her eyes widened in shock and horror before she looked up and saw much of the same expression on her friend's whiskered face. The cat fondness stumbled back on her feet. I need to go. I still have work to do. Naruto reached out for her again, but she was already making her way down the hall. She nearly sprinted despite her clear exhaustion just to get away from him and the conversation. The fox turned around and saw his teammates standing around the corner, probably listening to their entire conversation. They certainly weren't eavesdropping, because you had to overhear a quite personal conversation for that to be considered. Damn. Now he knew how Sun felt. Hunting, sword clashed against sword in a brilliant flash of sparks and a mighty ring of metal. The two blades struggled against each other for only a moment before quickly separating. The longer, heavier sword raised up and brought down against the thinner, shorter blade, but it was easily knocked aside as its wielder simply slid past their opponent and increased the distance between them. John turned back around, holding Kotomore's up and taking a deep breath as he eyed his opponent. Pure was crouched low to the ground, her blade in her hand as it reflected the moonlight. Despite her lower stances, the look of enjoyment and pride on the redhead's face was unmistakable. Despite how serious he wanted to take his training, the scruffy blonde couldn't hide his smile either. The Amazon leapt up from the ground and charged him. The swords met again in a rapid, powerful exchange of strikes and blows that forced them around the roof. John was forced on the defensive and quickly had to move his blade around to block, divert, or parry her thrust. He knew that if she was going at her full speed, that he wouldn't stand a chance. But also realized that despite her lowered speed, he was doing much better at fending her off than he did months ago. Seeing an opportunity in her onslaught when she was pulling her sword back to attack, John lunged forward with a yell and brought his blade down. Pierre's eyes widened in surprise, and she was forced to change her rhythm to catch his blade before he could come down. The two partners remained still for a moment as the ring of their swords clashed, hung in the air. Pierre showed him a look of astonishment and pride, and for a moment John matched a feeling of triumph welling up in his chest. Yeah, Pierre kicked his leg out and with their blades crossed, brought their weight down on him to pin him to the ground. John groaned, their blades disconnected and clattering to his side as he caught his breath. Okay, I think that's enough for tonight. I really need to get the air back in my lungs. John tried to catch his breath, but felt her still watching over him. He peeked out one eye to see Pierre crouched by his side with a smile on her face. What? Oh, nothing, she said, giggling. I'm just amazed at how much you've improved in these short weeks. You're amazing, John. No need for flattery. Jean got a chuckle out of his panting. I know you're holding back. Plus, I think you intentionally left me that opening, didn't you? Pierre scratched his cheek. Oh, you noticed that, huh? She meekly laughed before standing up and offering her leader a hand. John was quick to accept and was pulled onto his feet as the champion smiled. But I wasn't lying about you improving. You are leaps and bounds a more capable fighter than you were at the beginning of your first semester. Thanks. John rubbed his head shyly before turning over and picking up his sword. He walked over to where his and Pierre's shields were laid beside each other. His instructor had explicitly said that tonight's training would focus solely on swordplay, and he knew better than to question her with her training regimen. Pierre was a tough teacher, but she was fair and had always helped him where he struggled. He sheathed his sword and handed her aqua. Hey, do you think I should have my weapons upgraded or something? Upgraded? How so? I don't know, like a dust feature on my shield or an energy weapon for my sword. He saw the laugh Pierre was struggling to keep down. Okay, obviously I was just spitballing here. I have no idea how I would make any of those weapons in the first place. Also, I may hurt myself using them, so probably nothing too dangerous. John, Pierre smiled warmly. I think it's really cool that you're doing all this fighting with just a sword and shield. I admire it. It reminds me of all those great knights and heroes from the old stories, and I like your sword and shield because it sort of matches my weapons too. But your weapon can become a spear and a gun. Pierre blushed with embarrassment at the ironclad rebuttal before nervously shrugging. Do as I say, not as I do. They stayed silent for a moment, and the champion feared that she may have made a fool out of herself, but then she heard John chuckle and nod in agreement. She seemed to shine with her victory. The redhead beamed with a smile before she noticed the odd look on his face when he turned around him. Is something bothering you? Nothing really. If it's about your training, then there's nothing to worry about. You just need a little more time. And no, it's not that. John shook his head, moving some hair out of his face and briefly giving her a look at the scar on his forehead. She still felt guilty about the fact that she had just chosen to intervene in his fight with Ursa a little sooner than his forehead wouldn't hold that mark. Standing by in the forest, watching it happen like she was testing his resolve, as if she had the right to do that. But when she told John what happened, he just smiled and accepted it with a laugh, stating that the scar would forever be a reminder of the first time he ever felt like a huntsman. She was pulled out of her musing when she heard him speak. I was thinking about the dance. Oh. Pyrrha wanted to slap herself for standing so eager at the mention of the dance. She ran a hand through her hair, hoping it was straight and not messed up by the training session before she yanked it away with the fear it might look provocative. John looked at her oddly before she just leaned back on her leg and tried to look disinterested. Why are you thinking about the dance? Just about what I would wear or what might happen. This is the first time I'm going to one of these things without being forced to do it by my mom or sisters. No awkward pictures, no trying on outfits, no familial support while I'm surrounded by people I don't really know. I just thought it was going to be weird. John, Pyrrha smiled supportively. There's no reason to be nervous. I danced with you while we were practicing with everyone, remember? I think you'll be quite the hit out there on the dance floor. John seemed to sprinkle out from her compliments and saluted with a smile. She gulped. So, are you going with anyone? Nah, me and a few of the other guys are just gonna go stag, I guess. She really hoped her disappointment wasn't too clear on her face. You don't want to ask anyone to dance? Well, I think I might have wanted to ask one person to go with me, but I can pretty much guess who they're going to dance with, so I don't really have any options left. Well, you might. I mean, Oh yeah, who are you going with? John's mood quickly changed from melancholy to excited, as if he was gossiping with his partner about whom they fascinated. Did they make some grand announcement or gesture to ask you to dance? Because I've seen a few of them around campus and I was impressed. Some people may say it's cheesy, but I think it's romantic or whatever the feeling is. Pure looked stumped before shaking her head. No, I haven't got anything like that quite yet. Seriously, that's crazy. The blonde smiled and stretched out his limbs. Well, don't worry. I know the right person will come around and ask you to dance in a way people will be talking about. Pierre shared his laugh, despite hers lacking the same mirth and enjoyment as his did. I wouldn't be too sure of that. Oh, please, you're like the greatest person I know. John waved off her words with a chuckle before turning around. You know what? If you somehow end up without a date, I'll come to dance in a dress, prettiest, frilliest thing you could imagine. The blonde did a quick curtsy before walking off the roof, with the champion left to stand by her own, on her own, again. Hunting? Napkins are fine. For a child's meal, we need proper dining napkins because people will make a mess. No one is going to use those heavy things to eat their food with. At most, we'll use them under the vases for the yellow roses, so they perk everyone up and get them excited for the dance. We'll be using dollies for the vases and white roses. Obviously, this is a classy evening, which means we need classy arrangements, not eyesores. Eyesores? Oh, that's funny. Next, you'll be suggesting string and classic music. I'm glad you see things my way. No, that was sarcasm, and you clearly knew it was sarcasm. Why is this a dance? We need people dancing, not falling asleep on their feet. Oh, and I assume you'd invite those hardly dressed gentlemen to come and play at our dance. Now you get it, Yang. I am paying for the band. I am picking it. You want your pick? Pay for it out of your own money. Ruby sat at the table far away from her partner and sister, pulling out her hair in an effort to quell the fatal boredom she would slowly succumbing to. If there was anything to detract her from the boring monotony. Hey, little angels descending from the heavens. Team Noctix walked in to visit their friends. How's it going? Fine, never better. Liars! Ruby dashed across the room and nearly tackled Tintin as she balled her hands up in the older girl's clothes. They won't stop arguing about everything, and nothing is getting done. And worst of all, they're making me stick around with them like I could actually help or even care. Take me away, please. Weiss rolled her eyes. She's overreacting. I'm not. She's adorable. Yang dismissed her baby sister's cries and turned to the fresh subjects. Hey, you guys are fresh blood. What music would you prefer? Awesome rockin' new beats or classical boredom? Don't sound so biased when you're giving people an option. The dame was split before making her choice and consoling Ruby, but the hesitation but they hesitantly showed him. I guess the new beats. Weiss gasped, shocked by the betrayal as the blonde boxer raised her hands in victory. I'm sorry, Weiss, but when I think of school dances, classical music just doesn't click. What do you guys think? The only boys of the room looked between each other and shrugged. We don't really mind. Weiss and Yang turned on them with neutral glares as Tenta inside him. What would you want to dance to? Remember that dancing training we'd spend all that time doing? Well, training and doing it are two very different things. Kiba said, you might not realize this, but while girls dance, guys pretty much settle for awkwardly shuffling on their feet in one place. Useless, absolutely useless. Weiss groaned before shaking her head. Then I suppose we'll just have to figure this entire dance out on our own. How we can best enjoy the atmosphere. How pleasing the aesthetic can be, made by Team Ruby for Team Ruby. Except Blake. Ruby's quiet mutter was loud enough to be heard by everyone, and it was enough to bring the room's overall mood down a notch. Keep aside. Speaking of Blake, he got the girl's attention before pointing back at his leader. Never had a conversation with her before. Well, more of an argument. It kind of got loud. Kiba, what? He looked back at his partner with a shrug. I think they should know. Team Ruby stayed silent for a moment before Yang let out a deep sigh. She walked up about Weiss and looked her in the eyes. We're not doing the dollies, and we're not going classical, but I will let you use dirty napkins and your roses. Deal? The Schnee Harris eyed the blonde's hand warily before shaking it. Deal. I'm surprised you were willing to give that up for a compromise. Are you kidding? I don't care about napkins and yellow roses are an awful choice for a dancer. I just made them a part of my argument so I could get you to agree on the music. Them's called tactics. The ivory-haired girl fumed and stomped her feet as the blonde strode off and dragged Naruto behind her. Come with me. He stumbled as he was dragged. Why? So you can tell your big sister what's troubling you. Yang, you're not my big sister. You're Ruby's big sister. We're the same age. Plus, Shh. Yang covered his mouth with her palm once they were outside of the ballroom. She showed her friend an empathetic smile, and the tension in his form falling and his ears settling down. Once it was just them, she pulled her hands back and smiled. Tell me what happened with Blake. Hunting. Toshvik was a known felon since his childhood. He had a sheet at least a mile wide that he continued to pound more and more crimes on as he grew older. He had built up his network of connections from working under multiple crime bosses and families while he familiarized himself with the underworld. When did he start working with the White Fang? When did they reach out to him? Ruby said she stopped his burglary before coming to begin. So was he collecting since then? Was he going for the dust before and came to the White Fang for help when it was becoming too difficult? Or was he initially getting dust for them all along? What about Danza Shimura? Was he still mobilizing the Bell Branch, or was he working further behind the scenes? Did Sienna condone their actions? She hadn't made a statement either taking responsibility or denying it to the press. Well, were they going rogue? She should find out more when she got back to the library. There were several books about the inception and beginning of the White Fang. If Bouncer really was a full member, maybe he appeared in some old pictures or mentions on them. They wanted to get back, but when she looked down at her book, she found a red dot in it. She blinked and stared at the light in the middle of the page before looking back. She didn't see anyone, but when she turned back around, the light reappeared on her book. Don't acknowledge it. Focus on the task at hand. She shifted and wiped around over the page. More important things too. Blake slammed her book shut and turned around with a frustrated growl. She followed the path the red light was taken and marched down the hall in an angry huff. The red dot appeared and disappeared frequently until the black-eyed girl rounded the corner and found her culprit. Yang was crouched close to the ground with a laser pointer in her hand. She turned it off and smiled as she stood back up. You found me, and really fast too. And she looked down at a watch that wasn't there. Oh, but I think Swai has you beat for best time. Yang, Blake groaned. What are you doing? Catching a cat. Blake yelled as Yang grabbed her arm and pulled her into an empty classroom before closing the door behind her. She stumbled on her feet before turning and glaring daggers at her partner. Yang just grinned. I caught one. Yang, stop playing around. Oh, come on. Can't we talk girlfriend to girlfriend? No. Blake pulled the door open before Yang quickly shut it closed. The audience was surprised at how easily she lost her grip before turning to her teammate. What are you doing? I wanted to talk. The smile was gone from the blonde's face and replaced with a genuine look of worry. I want to talk to you about what's going on. It'll just be for a few minutes, and your articles and stories will still be there when you get back. Blake didn't change her expression before Yang's voice softened. Please? Just a few minutes. Blake stepped down the stairs a bit carefully, not to trip over, as Yang followed behind her. Unfortunately, the classroom was empty, and no one was going to use it today, and so they could speak without being overheard. The cat hunters leaned back against the main desk, not admitting how nice it felt to sit down and look at her partner. But if this is about telling me to stop it, then forget it. I don't want you to stop him. I know how important this is to you. Hell, this is important for everyone. Yang held up her hands. But I just want you to slow down and rest. I can't. I don't want to waste any more time doing nothing important. Resting and sleeping aren't important. You know what I meant. No, I don't. Yang walked up to her friend and held her shoulder, looking into Blake's tired and amber eyes with the lavender eyes. I can't remember the last time I saw you in a bed. You've barely ate and you look like your skin on bones. I'd say you're running on fumes, but I'm pretty sure you're past that point as well. I'm fine. I'm certain that I am. Blake said, I can keep going. What about your mind? Don't people start hallucinating when they lack a lot of sleep? I mean, can you even think straight? Blake furrowed as Yang's words before the blonde continued. I heard how you turned down Sun's request, and I know what you said to Naruto too. That actually seemed to get across as Blake looked down in shame. I shouldn't have been so coarse. He was trying to make me stop, and I got angry, and I said something I shouldn't have. They stayed silent before she shook her head and stood up. If you can just tell him I'm sorry about what I said, but I still need to fix this. It's my responsibility. If I can't, you'll never be able to get it off your mind. No matter what you do, it will always stay in the back of your thoughts. Blake stopped before she reached the stairs and looked back at her partner. Yang showed a sad smile as she looked down. I don't know my mother. I mean my biological one. I've always had a mother. Summer Rose, though, raised me and looked after me and loved me just as much as Ruby. She was the best. Yang grinned. I never felt like I didn't have a mother because with Summer around, how could I not have one? Yang's grin thinned out as she scratched her head. She passed away. She went away to fight it, but never came back. And I was young and still didn't know everything. But when Crow wouldn't tell us, and that just shut down, and we were left crying. I mean, it's hard not to know then. She looked up and saw she had garnered Blake's attention long enough to get her to think about something else for a moment. I went to my parents' room one day, feeling sad and sorry for myself and missing Summer, and I saw an old photo of my dad with Summer in the frame, and reached up to grab it, but I knocked it down and broke it instead. I panicked and knew I was going into a timeout until I saw the photo was folded over. Young looked down at her partner. The photo had more people in it. Uncle Crow, which I think they just hid him away because they couldn't stand his cocky smirk on there besides him. And my mom, I knew she was my mom because I looked just like her. I mean, I got my golden locks and winning personality from that, but I look like her. Yang shook her head. I never once thought I didn't have a mother while Summer was around, but with her gone, why wasn't my birth mother here to be with us? Yang, Blake whispered. Ruby's mom was sweet and kind and looked after us, so I thought maybe my mom could do the same. She shrugged and chuckled, embarrassed in retrospect by her younger self's silly train of thoughts. So I carried Ruby in a wagon and dragged her around to find my mom. Of course, I was a kid, so I thought Patch was a big enough place that if I went looking, I'd find her. I think I searched for hours, but I never found her. But I found an old house and thought maybe it was where she was. Until I heard the growling. Blake's eyes widened. I think Uncle Crow had been telling us that, or he had ridiculously good luck because he came in like a hero and slashed the grill apart before they could reach us. We were saved until Dad got a hand of us. I don't think I was ever so scared as when he yelled at me. I definitely know I'd never been spanked that hard before. Yang said with a chuckle. But despite all of that, I still wanted to know where she is. I still do. I look it up every now and then. A lot less now that I'm in now, that I'm at Beacon. But before coming here, you could see me trash a place just to get some information on her, but nothing. Yang sat up and looked at Blake. I'm never going to give up on finding my biological mother, but I will not let it control me, because I know I'm not just putting myself at risk when I do. Blake sighed as she finally realized the purpose of the story. Yang, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but this isn't the same. Oh, how isn't it? Yang countered. You're trying to find someone. You won't give up until you find them. The only difference so far is that a life hasn't been threatened because of what you're doing. Not yet, at least. But it did. Blake replied. I cost Mr. Hiruzen his life because I followed along with the change in the White Fang. Oh, Blake scoffed. So what? If one little kid there surrounded by adults decided to deny what that murderer proposed, then the White Fang never would have changed. Damn, Blake, I didn't know you were so influential. No, she hissed. That isn't what I meant, isn't it? Because the way I see it, the White Fang was going to change the way, with or without you. But Mr. Hiruzen died. He died because I stayed and he left. Were you supposed to protect him? I should have at least gone with him, so you could die too, because that's what was going to happen, Blake. That Danzo guy would have killed you and your friend without a second thought. So I'm thankful that in the end he was the only one to die while you got to live. Blake balked in shock, tears filling her eyes as she slammed her fist against Blake's chest, Yang's chest. It barely did anything to the brawler who grabbed her wrist and made sure she couldn't run away. You're the only one who matters from all this, Blake. Yang yelled, getting her partner's attention as the cat fawners looked at her with red knives. I'm sorry about your friend and how guilty you feel, but you're going to kill yourself if you keep going like this. We don't want that. None of us do. You shouldn't either. You don't have to do this to feel like you're making up for your mistake. She pulled back and looked her friend in the eyes. Yang's red both from her anger and her pain. We don't want to see you run yourself ragged and hurt yourself like this. We're not going to abandon you. We aren't going to just let you do this all on your own. I'm sorry if you feel like you're carrying all of this by yourself, but you aren't. We're all here for you. We'll help you fight and find these people and stop them, but you have to help yourself first. Yang pulled her in for a hug. Blake's tears rolling down her cheeks and disappeared in her partner's hair. Please do it for us. Don't hurt yourself anymore. Please, Blake. Her sobs were muffled, and after a moment, Blake's arms raised to share the embrace with her partner. The two stayed silent as they stood alone in the classroom. Hunting. She had promised Yang that for her own sake and the sake of her team, she'd get some rest and stop with her investigation. Yang had separated from her with a content smile, wiping away any traces of tears and telling her she'd be waiting in the room. Although there were still a lot of papers and books to put away again in the library before she could think about sleeping. Blake took a deep breath and placed the books back into the proper slots before she headed back. She looked down at all the work she was going to pour over before realizing just how much she had said for herself. Was she really planning on going through all of this just to find the smallest hint of a connection with the White Fang? Just a few minutes ago, it made the most sense. It made the most sense in the world. But now it just reminded her how tired she was. She rubbed her eyes and turned around to grab the last of the books, only to see they were gone. Now I feel like we've done this before. Blake blinked and looked behind her to see Naruto stacking the remaining books. He showed her a smile as he finished. Yang called me, told me to make sure you weren't passed out in a book or something. Dread filled Blake's stomach for a moment as she looked down shamefully. I'm sorry for what I said earlier. It's I'm not about to get offended by the words of a delirious person who's probably seen walking mushrooms and talking to birds. I'm not that tired. You will be soon enough. The whiskered boy just continued to chuckle as she glowered at him. Apology accepted. Her expression softened a little. Some of the guilt in her chest subsided as he motioned to the table. I'm sorry for ever letting you think that this was all your responsibility. I think you and I both know I have a fair amount of the blame to carry as well. It wasn't just mine to take like that. I know that now. I wasn't the only one afraid about what could happen. Blake sat down, relaxing back into her chair and rubbing her eyes. I just felt so scared and terrible about what happened that I couldn't think straight. I was filled with panic and the thought that I needed to do something as quickly as possible. That caring about myself was the farthest thing in my mind. She ran her hands over her face. My team was so worried about me. I scared them for nothing. She looked up at her fellow fawners. I snapped at you. Not the first time, and I'm sure I'll do something to earn it again. He joked, taking her light jab to the knee in good fun. You're going to sleep after this, right? Everyone is working at the dance tomorrow, so they're going to give me time to rest the whole day. They'll also leave me some time to eat when I wake up. Blake yawned. I should have helped them with it. I don't usually like dances, but I still should have been there with them. I guess I'll have to go to the dances, penance. You should go with son. She looked at him as she shrugged him. He was really looking forward to go with you. He was sure he would cheer you up. I guess that's an idea. Blake murmured as she teetered on consciousness. I doubt he'll take me after I turn him down. Don't be too sure about that. He's kind of an idiot. Nato chuckled. He really admires you for how hardworking you are and how devoted you can be to doing the right thing. He heard soft breathing by his side and looked down to see Blake, her hair already nodded off. She used her arms as a pillow and rested against the table as she started catching up on the sleep she missed. Found a sleepy kitty. Looking for one? With that message to Yang, all he had to do was wait for her to come and get her partner. He smiled down at his exhausted friend and shook his head. I kind of get where he's coming from. Hunting? Okay, I need to go. Cable fixed his tie over his neck and was already making his way out the door. Neil's waiting for me, and I don't want to keep her waiting. See you guys later. Good luck. Tintin called out to her friend wearing a mahogany-colored dress with her hair tied into a single bun behind her head. She turned around to face the rest of her team with an excited smile. Let's get a look at you two. You're so handsome, but no. What? No. Tintin walked up and swiped the headband off Naruto's head before tossing it on his bed. There, you look so much more handsome without it on your head. Stop it! Naruto muttered shyly as his ears lowered on his head in his black suit and orange tie. Tintin! Sasuke fixated his sleeve and collar before looking down at his uncovered and scarred hands. Are you sure I shouldn't wear gloves? You're fine, she reassured her partner. You don't need to hide anything tonight. Tonight's just about all of us having fun. Are you too excited? I think this is gonna suck. Suck it up! Extra decaf part 3. Everyone, get into the bulkheads. One of the guards yelled out to the civilians as they filled the ships before the Grim could rush the town. We will evacuate you immediately and have another wave of hunters come in to fight off the horde. Damn it! Coco looked out to the side of the bulkhead with a vicious scowl as she watched the Grim start to break through and make their way into the village. She slammed her fist against the home. Were we supposed to hold these fucking things off? And now all we can do is retreat. They just kept coming, Coco, Lola mumbled, holding her friend's tense shoulders as they watched the mission end. We couldn't hold them off any longer. I know! The fashionable leader barked, biting her lip and throwing her fist down before whispering, I know, it's okay. Velvet hugged her friend. More people are coming. This time we'll be safer. But for now, we need to make our way out. Yasuhashi said from inside the vehicle. We will not be helping by sticking around just watching this horror happen. Coco relented and took a deep breath before nodding in agreement. Team Coffee made their way onto the bulkhead. Help! They stopped and turned back to see a lone Livermore attacking one of the bulkheads and stopping it from taking off. The people inside were panicking and screaming, and it was enough to draw the attention of the Grim to gather beneath them. Coffee stopped and looked between each other. Well, Fox pumped his fist and primed his weapons. Looks like we'll be able to help after all. We might have lost the war. Coco smirked. Her spark reunited as she hefted up her bag. But we're still gonna wipe all these assholes from existence. End of chapter 67.